Hello id, hello ZeniMax. In the week or so that Quake Live has been on Steam, I've sunk 19 hours into it, so pretty decent chunk of my free time. That probably pleases you, but what won't please you is that I have absolutely no intention of forking over $35 a year for a premium membership, and I honestly can't fathom why anyone would unless they are absolutely hardcore into the game. Total Biscuit called your business model baffling, and I can't help but agree. I can't see how on earth you expect to make money on this, and I wouldn't be even remotely surprised if you told me that Quake Live doesn't turn a profit. You're trying to sell me features that are standard in Quake 3 Arena, a 15-year-old game, for $35 a year, and at the same time you've got Quake 3 Arena on Steam for $20. So the choice you're offering me is $20 for Quake 3, or to essentially buy Quake 3 twice a year for the luxury of a matchmaking service, something that is, these days, more or less standard in online games. Are you kidding me? That's not how you run a free-to-play game. I've checked, and there are still plenty of active Quake 3 servers, so why would I subscribe when, for a one-time $20 payment, I could play what is essentially the same game for as long as I like? And I don't even need to do that because I already have Quake 3. I bought it 15 years ago. Another thing Total Biscuit said was that Quake Live is good, and that he'd played it before and couldn't put his finger on why he'd stopped playing. Well, I agree with him. It is good. I've been having an absolute blast playing it, and like him, I've also played it before and then drifted out of it. But I think I do know why that is. I think it's because you haven't done anything to keep me there. Look at League of Legends, look at Dota 2. These are games that receive updates on a bi-weekly basis. They get new content monthly. Some of it is cosmetic add-ons for players to buy, some of it is just temporary events or new game modes. That is what you need to do to run a free-to-play game. You will get 100 people to spend $1 on a skin, model, avatar, icon, whatever, before you get them to spend, before you get 3 of them to spend $35 on features that really ought to be standard. I understand that providing this takes people and therefore money, but come on, you'll pump millions and millions into making a new Elder Scrolls, or bringing back Fallout, or holy shit, Rage. I mean, Rage, for Christ's sake. You'll sink big bucks and big talent into Rage to the point that Tim Willits will praise you for giving them an extra year to work on the game, and a game that was pretty much instantly forgotten by everyone due to its sheer genericness. But you won't put any effort into Quake Live? A game that is almost undisputed as being the absolute peak of the arena shooter genre? Total Biscuit said it, nothing else does what Quake does. And he was right. Quake is good. It is damn good. I'd forgotten how good it was until it popped up on Steam, and I jumped in again. Even with the casual changes, which I'm mostly indifferent about as someone who probably sits in the middle ground between casual and competitive, it's a breath of fresh air after a decade of Call of Duty clones. It's a great game. It plays great. But you're not giving me a reason to spend a penny on it. If you were selling me skins, models, sound packs, throwing out co-op game modes, anything, you could get money out of me. But like this, you're not going to get anything. That's why Riot has my money and you don't. Even though I'd consider Quake to essentially be the better game. I jump into Quake, I'm having fun, I'm pumping with adrenaline in less than 5 minutes. You don't get that in LoL or Dota. Christ, you could go down the Steam Workshop route like TF2 and have players submit content for you to sell. One of the biggest 3D modeling talent pools on the web is Polycount.com, which started life on Planet Quake. I bet it is still full of people who cut their 3D modeling teeth 15 years ago as teenagers in bedrooms modding Quake 3. They would be very well positioned to provide content for you. I don't think the age of the Quake 3 engine will be an issue. maybe someone in the boardroom has told you that you can't sell content that looks like Quake 3 does, but I don't believe that. League of Legends barely looks any better, and you could easily get more out of the Quake 3 engine with today's hardware. I'm getting 125 FPS with everything maxed out at 1080p while recording video, and I'm sure it'd go higher if I unlocked the frame rate. Look at what the most successful free-to-play games do, and then look at what you can do to match that. I don't see why you can't, and I think that if you do, I won't drift away from Quake Live again, because you know where I do drift to? I drift to League of Legends, I drift to PlanetSide, I drift to games that get updates where it feels like the developers actually care. Quake Live, while it's a great game, basically feels abandoned. Riot puts huge effort into making their game a serious esport. So did Blizzard with StarCraft 2, and they've both been rewarded for that. id, or ZeniMax, and I suspect ZeniMax, just doesn't seem to get it. Valve got it with TF2. They realized that they could make more money out of it free to play than they could if it was $20 in the orange box. And I think it was Robin Walker who stated that every time they added something new to the game, it renewed player interest and kept the number of people playing. It just boosted things again and again and again. So they just put the game on a drip feed of new content. So where's Quake Live's Dragonborn model for everyone that owns Skyrim? Where are the Wolfenstein New Order models for everyone who owns that? Where's the Fallout Power Armor or Vault Dweller model for everyone with the Fallout games? You've got to make people want to stick in. You've got to step up. Doesn't ZeniMax know how to run a multiplayer service that people want to stick around on? They don't seem to have a clue, or they just don't care. One of the two. Give this game a microtransaction content pipeline, have official tournaments for the best players, and give those tournaments some fucking pizzazz. Set up systems for players to quickly go and spectate the best fucking players. You know, John Carmack gave his goddamn Ferrari, well, one of them at least, to the best Quake player they could find back then. It maintained the esports scene. They took it seriously and they put their money where their mouth was. They reaped the rewards for it. ZeniMax buys id and the scene dies overnight. I'm not a pro player or even a semi-pro or anywhere on that kind of level. I've never been part of the competitive Quake scene, but I've paid enough attention to it and been part of those scenes in other games enough to know that the competitive scene is much like the casual scene in that it can only last so long without the developer's attention. It'll outlast the casual scene, sure, but not forever. Without the updates, there are just too many new games coming up, and new content in other games that just takes people's attention elsewhere. So, fix Quake Live's business model. You're throwing money away until you do, and you won't please either the casual players or the serious competitive ones. Certainly not enough to get any long-term subscription out of them. Subscription is dead. It's practically dead for MMOs. It's sure as hell dead for this, if it was ever alive, which I doubt. ZeniMax, have some fucking faith in Quake Live. Give it some commitment. It's got more potential than Rage and Wolfenstein ever had or ever will have. Do it.